15 reasons why Britain needs to ditch the monarchy. For generations, the British monarchy has served as a defining characteristic of the nation. But is it time for a change? Numerous people contend that the monarchy is outdated, undemocratic, and a waste of taxpayer dollars. In this video, we'll look at strong arguments for why Britain should do away with the monarchy permanently. We'll examine the criticisms of the monarchy, including its lack of democracy, outdated customs, and financial burden on taxpayers, as well as the potential advantages of a more progressive, equal form of governance. So grab a cup of tea and let's discuss this hot-button issue. Number 1. Aren't we in a democracy? The first question you want to ask is whether Great Britain operates on a monarchical or democratic system of rule. As it is a democracy, serious questions arise. Some people may find the monarchy to be a treasured institution, and that opinion is valid. However, it is not chosen by the people and has little to no accountability to them. According to a new YouGov poll, over a third of British citizens think that the monarchy should be abolished entirely, with younger generations being less inclined to consider the monarchy a crucial component of British identity. These young British, along with many older generations, are concerned about the lack of accountability that is unique to the monarchy, and believes that the monarchy has too much control over the government. While there may still be many who support the monarchy, it is clear that the public in Britain is growing increasingly opposed to the idea of a non-democratic institution wielding such authority. Under a true democracy, all citizens should have an equal say in how their nation is managed. So what is the point of one family having an excessive amount of power and influence? They've got to go. Number 2, it's one thing to be undemocratic, but what's with the cost of operations? Another major argument against the monarchy is the cost. The royal family is one of the most expensive institutions globally, with estimates putting the annual cost to British taxpayers at around £345 million. This money is used to fund the Queen's official duties, the upkeep of royal palaces, and the salaries of the royal household staff. Calls for the abolishment of the monarchy based on cost are not new. In fact, it has been a topic of debate for many years, with some arguing that the royal family should be scaled back or abolished altogether. Proponents of this idea point to other countries with similar systems of government, such as Denmark and Sweden, which have much smaller royal families that cost far less to maintain. What if the money was put to better use elsewhere? Are the funds for healthcare and education far too inconsequential that they could be sidelined for funding a royal family with almost zero impact on the country? Perhaps one could argue that the monarchy generates some revenue through tourism and other means, but does this revenue overshadow the massive costs associated with keeping them in power? Number 3. Aren't we fighting for a more equal world? Then there is the fact that the presence of the monarchy sends a message of class privilege and inequality in the state. Several arguments and concepts have gone forth explaining how it is impossible to achieve true equality in the state while there is an unelected, hereditary institution that sits at the top of the social hierarchy. The monarchy represents a system in which birthright and privilege are valued above merit and hard work, perpetuating the idea that some people are inherently better than others simply because of their social status. The monarchy is seen by many as a throwback to a bygone era, a reminder of a time when social mobility was limited and class divisions were more pronounced. By abolishing the monarchy, advocates argue Britain would be taking a bold step towards a more egalitarian society, one in which all citizens are treated as equals regardless of their background or social status. The idea of a truly equal and meritocratic society is becoming increasingly popular among the British public, and the followers of this ideology just seem to increase with each passing day. Number 4, the monarchy just isn't accountable. One of the most pronounced arguments against the monarchy is its lack of accountability. Unlike elected officials, who must answer to the people who put them in office, the monarchy has no such obligation. This means that the monarchy and its members can act with impunity, making decisions that affect the lives of millions of people without any real consequences. The unaccountability of the monarchy has become a major issue for many Britons who believe that it is time for a change. They argue that in a true democracy, all citizens should have a say in how their country is run. But under the monarchy, one family has a disproportionate amount of power and influence. Recent events have only added fuel to the fire. The scandal surrounding Prince Andrew and his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, for example, has raised serious questions about the monarchy's moral compass and its ability to act in the best interests of the people. Number 5. They forgot how to be politically neutral. For this reason, it is kind of hard to fault those who have called for the abolishment on this ground. The monarchy is supposed to be apolitical and represent all Britons, but when that duty is stripped, and it is often seen as having a bias towards certain political parties or ideologies, one can only ask why the institution still exists. It goes without saying that these allegations have not gone without scenarios to back them up. For instance, in the run-up to the Scottish independence referendum in 2014, the Queen made comments that were interpreted by some as indicating her support for the No campaign. Similarly, Prince Charles has been criticized for his advocacy on issues such as climate change and architecture, which some see as overstepping the bounds of his role as a non-political figure. These instances of perceived political bias have led to calls for the abolishment of the British monarchy, as more and more people argue that a truly democratic system of government cannot coexist with a non-neutral monarchy that wields significant power and influence over the government. Yet, the monarchy still exists. Number 6. The monarchy's actions during colonialism are a stain on the country. The monarchy has a long history of involvement in colonialism and imperialism, concepts whose application has left lasting scars on many parts of the world. From the exploitation of natural resources to the forced labor and displacement of millions of people, the legacy of British colonialism is still felt in many countries today. But that is far from being all there is to the oppressive claims of the monarchy. In addition to the problems of colonialism, the monarchy has also been accused of supporting oppressive regimes and human rights abuses in other countries. There was a time when Queen Elizabeth came under fire for inviting dictators and other authoritarian leaders to state visits. Many saw this action as legitimizing their regimes and condoning their actions. These actions have led to calls for the abolition of the British monarchy, particularly from those who have been directly affected by British colonialism and imperialism. Many argue that the monarchy represents a legacy of oppression and exploitation that has no place in a modern progressive society. To be fair, the monarchy may have evolved and taken steps to distance itself from its colonial past. However, its involvement in these atrocities is still seen by many as a reason to do away with it altogether. Number 7. Put an end to symbolic representation. As Britain becomes an increasingly diverse and multicultural society, many are questioning whether the monarchy, with its roots in an outdated system of governance, is truly reflective of modern British values. The argument goes that as a symbolic representation of the country, the monarchy should be replaced by a more diverse and representative head of state who can better reflect the needs and values of all Britons. They have argued that a more diverse and representative head of state could serve as a unifying force for the country, promoting inclusivity and equality for all. This could take the form of an elected president or a constitutional reform that gives more power to Parliament, rather than an unelected monarch. This argument has gained traction in recent years as the country grapples with issues of identity, representation, and social justice. Many feel that the monarchy, with its focus on tradition and hierarchy, is out of touch with the concerns of everyday Britons, particularly those from marginalized communities. Number 8. What matters to them is different. The British monarchy has often been accused of promoting a culture of celebrity and wealth rather than values that truly matter. It is almost as if what is important to the common man is not so important to the monarchy. While the monarchy may have historical and cultural significance, its modern incarnation often seems more concerned with promoting itself as a brand and perpetuating a culture of privilege and excess. The problem is that this focus on celebrity culture has led to a devaluation of substantive values such as hard work, humility, and community service. Instead, the monarchy promotes an image of opulence, excess, and status that is not only out of touch with the realities of most Britons, but also actively harms the country's social fabric. Moreover, the monarchy's association with celebrity culture has led to accusations of hypocrisy, particularly in light of the family's wealth and privileged position. Many Britons see the monarchy as embodying a kind of elitism that is antithetical to the country's values of equality and fairness. Number 9. What's up with the cultural values of the monarchy? One of the leading arguments against the monarchy of Great Britain is that it is somewhat archaic. This is evident primarily in the cultural values that the monarchy still holds dear. The British monarchy has long been associated with a particular set of cultural values, such as tradition, hierarchy, and deference to authority. However, as society has evolved, these values are increasingly seen as outdated and out of step with modern Britain. Many argue that the monarchy is perpetuating a kind of cultural conservatism that is out of touch with the realities of contemporary society, particularly among younger generations. As expected, the monarchy still has its defenders who see it as a symbol of national identity, but this does not mean that its cultural values are relevant to a society that values diversity, inclusivity, and individual autonomy. As a result, calls for the abolishment of the monarchy have grown louder in recent years, with many arguing that the institution is no longer relevant to modern Britain. Number 10. How does the monarchy impact meaningful foreign relations for Britain? In the connected world that countries operate in today, if the argument for abolishing the monarchy is taken to its full possibility, it shows another great reason why the monarchy needs to be abolished once and for all. The call for the abolishment of the British monarchy is that it is seen as anachronistic and out of touch with modern political realities, particularly with regard to its relations with other countries and the world at large. The monarchy is from an era when monarchs wielded real political power and played a central role in diplomacy and foreign affairs. However, things have changed drastically. Today, the monarchy's role in international relations is largely symbolic, and many argue that it is not a useful or necessary institution in the modern world. Furthermore, the monarchy's association with the British colonial past has led to accusations of imperialism and a lack of sensitivity to other cultures and nations. If we can successfully argue that the institution is no longer relevant or appropriate in the modern world of international relations, why exactly are we still keeping the institution in power? Number 11. Historically, how relevant is the monarchy? The monarchy has a long and illustrious history in the United Kingdom, dating back centuries. However, many argue that the monarchy's historical legitimacy has become increasingly irrelevant to modern Britain. Historically, the monarchy played an important role in national governance, acting as a check on the monarch's power and representing the people in matters of state. However, with the rise of democratic institutions and the monarchy's diminishing role in governance, many people believe that the monarchy's historical legitimacy is no longer necessary. The concept of hereditary rule, as well as the concept of a privileged class with special status, no longer corresponds to the principles of modern democracy. The growing calls for transparency and accountability in all aspects of governance only serve to highlight the monarchy's anachronistic nature. As a result, many people argue that the monarchy's historical legitimacy is no longer a valid reason for its continuation. Instead, they believe that Britain should enter a more modern and democratic era free of the constraints of a traditional monarchy. Number 12. What does the public say? Shouldn't that count? Public opinion towards the monarchy has always been a contentious issue in the UK. According to recent polls, there is a growing sense of apathy and disinterest in the royal family among the British public. Many people feel that the monarchy is out of touch with modern values and that their extravagant lifestyle is a waste of taxpayers' money. Some have gone as far as arguing that the royal family is no longer relevant in modern-day society and that their privilege and wealth are outdated concepts. Others criticize the monarchy for its lack of transparency and accountability, as well as its perceived influence over political decisions. However, there are still those who support the monarchy and believe that it provides stability and continuity to the country. They argue that the royal family generates tourism revenue and promotes British culture and values. Despite the differences in opinion, there is no denying that the public's perception of the monarchy has a significant impact on the future of the institution. As the younger generation grows increasingly disillusioned with the monarchy, it remains to be seen whether the institution can adapt and remain relevant in the 21st century, or if the call for its abolishment will continue to gain momentum. The latter seems the best bet. Number 13. What exactly would you say is the impact of the monarchy based on its constitutional role? The British monarchy's constitutional role is largely symbolic, serving as a unifying force for the country and providing a sense of continuity and tradition. The monarch is the ceremonial representative of the country, performing official duties such as opening parliament, meeting with foreign dignitaries, and bestowing honors and awards. However, critics argue that this role is no longer a sufficient justification for the costs and continued existence of the monarchy. The expenses of the royal family are covered by taxpayers, and in recent years the cost has been a subject of debate. In addition, the symbolic role of the monarch has been criticized for being out of touch with modern political realities, as we have discussed in the preceding parts of this video, as it does not have any real power or influence in the democratic process. Isn't it past time for Britain to become a fully democratic country and abolish the monarchy so that power is truly held by the people rather than concentrated in the hands of a few individuals by birth? Number 14. Aren't there better alternatives to the monarchy? Alternative models of government have been proposed as a way forward for the country as the call for the abolition of the British monarchy grows louder. The republic system, in which the head of state is elected by the people and serves a fixed term in office, is one such model. Countries such as the United States, France, and Germany already have this system in place. Proponents of these different emerging models argue that they offer a more democratic and transparent system of government compared to a monarchy, where the head of state is not elected by the people and is often seen as being detached from the realities of ordinary citizens. Given that these models also offer cost savings regarding the expenses associated with maintaining the royal family, it seems like a sensible deal. Number 15. What are our priorities as a nation? The cost of running the British monarchy is astronomical. The government spends millions of pounds annually to fund the Queen and her family's lavish lifestyle. The upkeep of the palaces, the security personnel, and the other expenses related to the monarchy are all footed by the taxpayers. The question is, are the British people getting value for their money? The opportunity cost of running the monarchy is significant. The money spent on maintaining the royal family could be directed to more critical areas such as education, healthcare, and social welfare. This misallocation of resources is a grave concern, particularly given the current economic climate, where public funds are more vital than ever. Critics argue that the lack of priorities in the spending of public funds shows that the monarchy is out of touch with the everyday realities of the British people. While the government is cutting back on public services, the monarchy continues to live extravagantly, further widening the wealth gap between the haves and have-nots. Many people believe that the money spent on the monarchy is not justifiable, particularly given its largely symbolic role. The monarchy's constitutional power is limited, and its significance is more cultural than political. Therefore, the cost of running the monarchy is unjustified, and it is not surprising that many people are calling for its abolishment. The debate over the future of the British monarchy remains a contentious issue, with strong opinions on both sides. As the country navigates the challenges of the modern world, the question remains, is the monarchy still relevant, or is it time for a change? If you enjoyed going through this video with us, don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments section. We'd love to hear from the public whether the royal family should be ditched.